These Florida teachers are a big problem, not because of homework or grades, but because some of them are crossing lines that should never be crossed, and it's costing them their jobs. In this video, I'll show you how an illegal immigrant ended up running a massive school district, why so many college students now think violence is an acceptable way to silence a speaker, and why one teachers union is actually celebrating a convicted terrorist. Yeah, you heard that right. Let's jump in. Did you know that according to a nationwide survey conducted by the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, or FIRE, that 34% of college students believe that using violence to stop a campus speech is acceptable in some cases? 34%. In 2020, it was under 20%. So where's that coming from? Do you think these kids are getting more violent on their own, or is it video games or some other BS excuse? Or are they learning it from their teachers at an early age?
My son, 6 years old, was prohibited from sitting next to his friend on the school bus because a parent objected to my perspectives on book challenges. My older son's history teacher allowed students to label him a Nazi file simply for his interest in history and participation in ROTC. She later nominated my son as the most likely to become a dictator and had his classmates vote on it and try to force him to the front of the class to receive the certificate, which he rightly refused, all because of his conservative values and our perspectives.
This was a 6-year-old little boy getting bullied by a teacher in school. Now, I don't have any kids, but I was a 6-year-old little boy at one time in my life. So I can imagine how terrible this teacher made this little guy feel. And what this does is show every other kid in that class that it's okay to pick on people with a different opinion because the teacher's doing it. And where are these teachers learning that it's okay to be hateful to people that don't have the same opinions as you? Well, a few months ago, a legend who's known around the world as Hulk Hogan passed away. He was a resident of Clearwater, Florida, and if you grew up watching him wrestle like I did, he's one of the big reasons you took your vitamins and said your prayers at night. Here's what Alachua County School Board member Sarah Rockwell said about his unexpected death. "Oh, did Hulk die? I didn't even know. Good, one less MAGA in the world." She's in charge of educating children. It's disgusting. But this has got to be an isolated case, right? This can't be a common theme with educators and school board members all across Florida, can it? Well, let's look at the tragic death of Charlie Kirk. Charlie was a Christian conservative who went on college campuses to debate kids who have opposing viewpoints. He gave them a microphone and a platform to voice their side of the issue, and Charlie would counter with facts, faith, and his opinions on how to live a good Christian life. And he was assassinated by a college kid on a college campus that disagreed with his political opinions. And here's what Palm Beach County School Board member Edwin Ferguson had to say about it a few days after it happened.
In these last couple of days, I've received a number of contacts in regard to concern about teachers who are fearful of losing their teaching certificates because of this comments that they made in regard to a gentleman by the name of Charlie Kirk, who until the last week I knew nothing of. But in researching him, let me say this. So there's a letter that came from the DOE to the superintendents cautioning all superintendents to caution their staff to be careful about what they say because they could ultimately lose their teaching certificates.
The DOE is the Florida Department of Education, and they're letting teachers know, hey, you're a licensed individual that holds a teaching certificate, so you're going to be held to a higher standard than just average people, especially since a teacher teaches children from all kinds of different political household backgrounds. More or less, they're saying, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Because if students and parents feel that the comment of the teacher somehow makes them feel bad, then there could be some consequences and repercussions on that. And so my thought was, I looked at the statutes and the administrative rules that were referenced in this September 11th letter from DOE, and I'm thinking, unless you as a parent or you as a teacher feel bad because I as a teacher don't miss a racist bigot at that, I don't see how you're going to be at risk of losing your teaching certificate.
Wow. He's calling him a racist. Charlie Kirk always said you should be judged by the content of your character, not the color of your skin. You know who he got that from? The great Martin Luther King Jr.
You know, when we talk about the Holocaust, I've yet to hear a person of the Jewish faith say that I miss Adolf Hitler. He said a lot of toxic things that were very undermining to society at large, and we want to never forget that, and we want to be better than that. The things that I've heard from this gentleman, Mr. Kirk, as it relates to the black experience here in the country are definitely things that would make me say, hey, I'm sorry that he's died, that he passed away, but he did not use his voice effectively. So that's my 2 cents on that. So teachers, say what you need to say, but just be respectful and don't say it in a discriminatory way against him or anyone else who might be offended.
So he's comparing Charlie Kirk to Hitler. Unreal. But where are these school board members learning that it's okay to spread hate or call people Hitler just because they disagree with them?
You know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
There needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there is unrest in our lives.
You got to be ready to throw a punch. Well, you have to be ready to throw a punch.
Donald Trump, I think you need to go back and punch him in the face.
That I thought he should have punched him in the face.
Feel like punching him.
I think I'd like to take him behind the gym if I were in high school. If we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him. No, I wish we were in high school, I could take him behind the gym.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
Take him out now. Okay.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Are you starting to see a problem here? Now, according to an article in WUS-NPR, a recent Faculty in the South survey showed that 31% of Florida professors said they plan to seek employment in another state. Nearly 3 in 4, or 71% of faculty in Florida who were surveyed said they would not encourage a graduate student to seek employment in Florida. When asked why, they said because of state policy on tenure, elimination of diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, and the cost of living. At a glance, these numbers look shocking. A big chunk of college professors say that they want to leave Florida, and most wouldn't even recommend teaching here to their own students. That sounds bad, right? But here's the truth. It's actually good news, because the ones packing their bags are the radical professors who've been pushing the woke agenda and DEI nonsense. And there's one reason they can't stand it here anymore: Governor Ron DeSantis. More on him in a minute. This radicalization of teachers and the indoctrination of students isn't new. It's been going on for years, and it's spread far beyond Florida. Just look at this post from the Chicago Teachers Union, and I quote, "Rest in power, rest in peace, Assata Shakur." Today, we honor the life and legacy of a revolutionary fighter, a fierce writer, a revered elder of Black liberation, and a leader of freedom whose spirit continues to live in our struggle. Assata refused to be silenced. She taught us that it is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. Now, I got no idea who this was, but they make her sound like an American patriot, so I wanted to see if this is somebody teachers and students should be looking up to and celebrating. I'll let you decide. Here's her story. Assata Shakur was first known as Joanne Chesimard. She later adopted the name Assata Shakur, and in the late 1960s and early 70s, she threw herself into radical political movements. She wasn't just some protester marching with a sign. She joined the Black Panther Party and later the Black Liberation Army, which was a militant group that believed in armed struggle and violent resistance. And on May 2nd, 1973, she was involved in a shootout on the New Jersey Turnpike. State Trooper Werner Forster was killed along with one of her partners. Assata and another member of her gang were wounded and arrested. In 1977, Assata was convicted of first-degree murder in the death of Trooper Forrester. Then in 1979, she escaped from Clinton Correctional Facility for Women in New Jersey with the help of the Black Liberation Army. She fled to Cuba, where the government granted her asylum in 1984. And because of her fugitive status and conviction, the FBI placed her on the most wanted terrorist list in 2013. And she's the first woman ever to be added to that list. Does that sound like somebody teachers should be celebrating? Here's what Ron DeSantis had to say about it. Chicago Teachers Union celebrating a Marxist cop killer and fugitive from justice. Feel bad for school kids trapped in a failing system and that are forced to listen to this leftist drivel. And he's not the only one who thinks this is wrong. Here's what the director of the FBI, Kash Patel, had to say about it. Joanne Chesimard didn't fight for justice. She murdered New Jersey State Trooper Werner Forster in cold blood, then fled to Cuba to escape accountability. The FBI never stopped calling her what she is, a terrorist. Mourning her is spitting on the badge and the blood of every cop who gave their life in service. So this hatred and celebration of criminals is coming from the top down and infecting students at an early age through their teachers. It's no wonder that by the time they get to college, that 1 in 3 college students think that using violence to stop a campus speech is acceptable. It's not. It's wrong, no matter what side of the issue you're on. And what's going on with teachers gets even weirder. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, better known as ICE, just arrested Superintendent of Des Moines, Iowa Public Schools, Dr. Ian Andre Roberts, who it turns out is an illegal immigrant. The dude was making over $300,000 a year and in the country illegally and was in charge of running one of the largest school districts in Iowa. He's from Guyana and he's had a deportation order since May 2024. He also had a weapons arrest back in 2020. Here's the story. Dr. Roberts fled from ICE agents in his car once they ID'd themselves as immigration agents, speeding away, then abandoning the car. He was found in a brushy area 200 yards away with the help of an Iowa State Police canine. Per ICE officials, agents found a loaded gun, a fixed-blade hunting knife, and $3,000 cash in Dr. Roberts' vehicle. The crazy part is, he used a valid Maryland driver's license and he had a Social Security card to gain employment and was also a registered voter in Maryland as a Democrat. How are these states getting away with this? But the good news is, Florida doesn't put up with crap like this. This is what Florida Education Commissioner Anastasios Kamatis had to say about it.
These posts, made by individuals tasked with protecting the health, the safety, and the welfare of students, have celebrated and encouraged violence in schools. Let me be clear. This is completely unacceptable and it will not be tolerated.
And the reason Florida doesn't allow it is because of the great leadership of Governor Ron DeSantis. Under his watch, Florida has ranked #1 in higher education for the 10th year in a row. That's huge. And just look at what DeSantis himself posted on X. In-state tuition has not gone up a penny since I've been governor. We have the lowest tuition in the nation, and our Bright Futures program allows many Florida residents to go for free, or at a greatly reduced rate. The result is that almost 80% of undergrads at Florida State universities carry no debt. And it's happening because he took a stand and said no more DEI policies in Florida universities. Here's what that means. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, sounds nice on paper, but here's the problem. These policies don't reward hard work. They reward skin color. Instead of picking the most qualified student or job candidate, they play this race-based game. That's exactly what Harvard got busted for in 2023 when the Supreme Court said their admissions were flat out discriminating against white and Asian students. So what happens when you push diversity over competence? Standards drop. The most qualified people don't get the job, and the ones who do get through because of DEI quotas, they're always going to have that shadow hanging over them. People wondering if they earned it or if the system just handed it to them. That doesn't unite people. It does the opposite. It builds resentment, it creates division, and lowers the bar for everybody, all while pretending it's fair when it's actually illegal. Remember, people should be judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. And make no mistake, Florida teachers are being held to a higher standard too. They got a license, which means they got accountability. So the last thing they should be doing is cheering on violence. But the best news of all is this. Florida's got some of the best teachers and professors anywhere. You just don't hear about them because they're not out there doing crazy stuff that makes headlines. We got great Democrat teachers, Republican teachers, and plenty who couldn't care less about politics and just want to shape the minds of future Floridians. Having different opinions is fine. We don't have to agree on everything. But using your classroom to spew hate and push your politics on kids who are basically a captive audience, that should never be acceptable. And if that's how you act, you don't belong in a Florida classroom. The right response to political violence is simple. It doesn't matter if you're a teacher, a real estate agent, a Democrat, or a Republican. If someone is killed for their opinions, it's wrong, period. You don't make excuses, you don't celebrate it. You just say political violence can't be tolerated, and my heart goes out to the family and friends. That's it. That's what any decent human being should say. But instead, we got teachers turning into monsters online, spewing hate at anyone who doesn't think like them. That's the real problem. And thank goodness Florida's making it clear. If that's how you act, you're not teaching kids here. But this isn't the only problem going on in Florida right now. Click here to learn how these Florida contractors are ripping off homeowners. One of them is even trying to foreclose on 9,000 Florida residents. And if you don't know who they are and what they're doing, you could be next. Click here and I'll see you there.